Good morning. My name is David Perez, and today we're going to be talking about the right to privacy in the workplace and all the issues that is around this very interesting topic. Whether employees come from a big company such as Apple, Amazon, Tesla, or just a simple small office like a dental office in the corner of the street, the privacy in the workplace has always been a really important concern in the offices. Um, Nowadays it's being even more complicated just because there's so many devices, there's so many ways that employee can be able to track down the communication between employees. This is becoming a global issue. So this research we're going to try to go over some ethical, some legal issues in this topic. The global ethical issue involved. Since the collection of personal data for these companies are becoming more popular, so they're getting more and more and more power. So every day, big companies uh, start getting more information about the employees. They're trying to track down everything they do. We gotta stop and think about it if they're actually doing it for a professional purpose or they're actually they're overdoing it. Some of the ethical issue that I see on this problem is the first one is the freedom of speech, freedom of expression. We should have the right to talk and say whatever we feel like it when it's not damaging the image of the company, or we're not talking about something bad about the company. And something else, the balance of power, which is the employee always gonna have that power, or the employee just because they have them on camera, so they see what they talk, they see how they communicate, they see everything they do in the office. So that's a little bit of issues about that's a little bit of the ethical issues involved in this topic. But like I said, the employers always have their rights by the ACPA, which is the law that provides the employer and the employee the right to record all the information when they're using the company's equipment. Overview of allowable employee monitor. The situation is complicated when an employer tells an employee that they're not supposed to be using cell phone, the private cell phone, or the employee or the company cell phone for any private conversation. Usually, phone calls are not supposed to be logged, but even if they are, the employer are not supposed to have access to them. This is just to be used in court in front of a judge. There is a law that prohibits employer to spy or if dropping on voice messages on employees. But we're not 100% sure that they're not gonna do it. What they do have the right is just check on messages on emails for quality purpose, but we're not 100% if they're gonna be using for to spy on the employer, which is violating the right of speech and no for the employees. The ECPA, or the Electronic Communication Private Act. This prohibits the employers from tracking down personal devices such as laptop, phones, or any other devices that can be used to have personal communication between employees inside the premises of the workplace, inside of the offices. This law also requires to be fully disclosure between both parties, the employers and the employee, as well as if this law disclose the employer can be civilly liable for reading and disclosure any private message between employee. According to the law, even if the phone is tracked for commercial purpose, if an personal communication comes in this conversation, the employer must hang out immediately. Allowable eyes dropping. Employers are actually allowed to I've dropped on employees' phone calls at work if they're using company equipment. This means they're the employer that actually have their legal right to spy on their employees, so they can actually check the phone calls, they can check the emails, the messages, everything that is being transferred between them and between employees. They usually do this for quality control purpose on the company. So they basically want to make sure that their employees are having the correct intersection between the customers. If you're doing conversation through the phone. Also, if they're wearing a headset, they're wearing a headset during the hours of operations, an employee, those communications are also being tracked. Well, what we said before, the employer have the right to spy on them or hear their conversation. Even has to be something that is work related. If it's something that's not, they will have to drop this conversation immediately. Security control devices. Employer can legally track employees' emails, text messages, phone calls, anything that is inside of the company or being used from any own devices. The most common ones are the computer monitoring, which is used to see if they are going through websites that are not allowed the company, video surveillance inside the offices, wiretapping or wiretaps, which is used to cut all outgoing or incoming calls from employees outside the companies or inside the company. Also including fingerprints and retina scan, which is on the most extreme levels. All these devices are beneficial for the company, for the employers, just because they're making sure there's not going to be a leak of information in between companies or people outside the company, and have a healthier workplace. To conclude these presentations, I would like to summarize this into one little simple sentence that I provided for you guys. That is, employer can basically control most of their workers' employments one way or another. This means that the employer can actually put GPAs on their company-owned devices, such as cars, or can be computers or laptop they give it to you for you to work at home, or cell phones. So on the cell phone, they can track down emails, phone calls, or messages. Everything has to be strictly work related. If they're not on their, if there's something personal, then they don't have the right to record or to fully disclose this information. This is all legal under the ECPA, the Electronic Communication Privacy Act. If they're both party, the employer and the employee, they fully agree and they fully sign this disclosure. So if any information that is not work related, the employer has not the right to be able to see or to be able to hear this conversation. But this is something that we will have to pray for that they won't do again. Okay, thank you very much, you guys, for going through with me this research. I hope you have a wonderful day, and later on I will have the reference for you guys when I have a look through. So right here we have other reference that I previously mentioned. They're from really reliable sources. If you guys have any issues, you feel free to contact me. Okay, thank you very much.